Hey, what's up guys? Okay, so in this video I want to do a quick run through of the difference between PowerPro braided fishing line and Kasking. Okay, so if you take a look at that tree right there, there's no fishing today. It is super windy. It's like 25 miles an hour and gusting to 30. No fishing today, no hunting today, nothing cool going on, but it's a pretty day. Check out that sky. So in this video guys, I'm gonna be talking about the two different types of fishing line and why I choose one or the other. Here we go. What's up guys? Okay, so I wanted to take a couple minutes while it's windy outside and talk about the two types of fishing line I get asked about the most. And yes, I have used and do use both kinds still today. And those two lines are PowerPro, dun dun dun, and the Kasking. Full disclosure, Kasking sent this to me a long time ago. I had a whole stack of it. Been using it. Although I'm not a fan of the reels, y'all gonna hate me for that, I'm just not a fan of them, but the line isn't that bad. Full disclosure, funny story on this stuff, I went to a yard sale about a year ago and a guy was like a wholesale distributor of PowerPro and he had like 30 unopened packages of PowerPro I bought for like 50 cents a box. I bought them all. So I'm still using that kind of, that first volume sale that I had, and that's what this is. So the biggest things I've noticed with the PowerPro is it lasts a long time. It's not real flexible. It's very kind of stiff at first, but over time it limbers up. It's not bad. I really don't understand what this thing's for because this never spools right. Don't pay extra for the spool or the spooler or whatever it is, but it's really good line. It's lasts a long time. It's on probably half my reels. It casts well. It retrieves well. It doesn't get a lot of wind knots. It's not really anything bad I can say about this other than it's expensive and it makes that noise. If you're looking to spool this up, I think it's like $9 a box. I'll put it in the description box. The PowerPro that I use 20, 30, 50 pound PowerPro on my reels, 20, 30 for inshore bass fishing stuff because it fits on the reel good. I actually made a video on that. I'll link that below too. That video covers basically the line sizes that are my favorites. That pretty much says it all. This is just the Spectra fiber stuff. It'll last for years if you don't, get it nicked up on bridges and pilings or get spooled. It'll last a long time. I've got 1 or 2 reels right now that's had this same line on it for about 2 years now. I've used it almost every day last summer, no problem. All right, so let's move along to the next line here. This is the Kasking Fortis. It is just basically a cheaper brand. Not necessarily too much in quality, but I'll get down to the nuts and bolts of that here in a second. This Fortis stuff is it's basically, I think I'm willing to bet, and I don't know this, but I'm willing to bet that most of this line is made in the same factory somewhere overseas, and then they just put a different label on it. What I have noticed about the Kasking stuff versus the PowerPro, the Kasking stuff is cheaper. You usually get more per spool, like yardage wise, than you do with the PowerPro. And it does lose its color faster. So like this will turn to like a light yellow or maybe even white during the summer. The blue will turn into like a faded blue jean color, whereas this doesn't tend to fade. If that doesn't bother you, oh well. It's not a big deal, but if it does, FYI on that. This, I noticed last year that when I'm casting a lot, over time, it gets a lot of wind knots and it doesn't seem to hold its ness. I don't even know if that's a good describer. Its integrity like this does. This will fray a little bit, whereas this doesn't quite as much. I will say it has its time and place. Okay, so it kind of depends on what you're using it for. If I was like flipping and casting and doing a lot of stuff with it in the wind, and I was looking for like a super slick line, I would just go ahead and get the PowerPro Super Slick, or just use the PowerPro, because I haven't had any problems with that, with the PowerPro doing that, like wind knotting and getting crazy junk, whereas this I have. And I had to respool faster. But if I'm running a conventional reel, or I'm using a big reel where I'm just trolling, or I'm flipping it out there and it's just staying out there, no problem really using this stuff. So like my Jigmaster 500 has this on it, okay? It has a lot of it on it. And the last spool I put on there I had for like 2 or 3 years. I just kept swapping ends of the braid, so like you can just flip the braid and it allows you to use the other half of the line you haven't been using. And I used this line for a long time. It was 50 pounds, so like as it got weaker, I was still, I mean, if I lose a lot of integrity of the line, I'm still at 30 pounds, and I was still good enough to catch most fish. So if you're saying, well, have I used this and I'm tearing down a product that I haven't used? Yes, I've used this. If you see a lot of my Big King mackerel videos with my Jigmaster 500, I had the blue Fortis on there, Kasking. If you see the tarpon video where I caught a tarpon on the snorkel reef in Perdido Key, I had this on it in 50 pound on my 850. If you watch the bonita fishing videos last year where I caught the bonita and ate them, that was the Fortis. I think I had 20 or 30 pound on my 3000 series reels. If you watch the big bull red videos I did a long time ago, that was the blue Fortis line and 30 pounds. So yes, I've used both of it. And here's the nuts and bolts. They'll both work. If you are a weekend fisherman and you just need something to fill up an offshore reel, this will work. If you are a dude that you just need some good braided line to get you by, this will work. Now, if you fish a lot and you are really wanting it to cast and pitch and do well, I mean, I would say just go ahead and get the PowerPro. But in the end, they'll both work. So I wanted to add right quick that no, I'm not going to talk about, you know, which one's stronger per strand of whatever. I'm just basically talking about which one I like better versus the other. I feel like the pound to pound ratio has been kind of like beaten into the ground, and there's a lot of YouTube videos out there for that. So check those if you're worried about, well, is it 30 pounds or is it 29.5? Because the way I look at it is when you're using 30, 50, 65 pound fishing line, plus or minus 1 or 2 pounds, it's really not going to make a difference. I just wanted to add that. They'll both be fine. I used to sweat it back in the day, worrying about how thick is the line and how much am I going to be able to put on there and all this stuff. What I've learned is very rarely have I ever needed more than 150 yards of braid and gotten to the backer. Very rarely have I used anything more than probably the first 100 feet of the line, and that's what gets all the abrasion and everything. I just wanted to put this video out there because I've been asked both about Kasking and PowerPro. They're both fine. You will see, because you get what you pay for, you will see a little difference in, you know, how long the Kasking holds up versus the PowerPro. It depends on what you're using it for. I still use both, and I'll continue to use this until I'm out of it. It's really not that bad. It's just a generic braided fishing line that it will lose its color over time, but the PowerPro will too, but not as quick. And you get a lot of it. And I'll link that in the description box too if you're wanting just a run-of-the-mill braided fishing line. I want to think that it's probably just like any of the other cheaper braided fishing lines. I haven't lost any fish because of it, but I have had a couple of days where the wind knots got real bad, and I know some people are going to say that's because of line twists and all that. I'm just saying I had more wind knots on this than I did on this. It is what it is, guys. Just wanted to throw it out there. They're both fine. They'll both work. Just spool up and go fishing. Like, in the end, you got to quit looking at specs and diameters and weight pound tests. You just throw some line on it, go fishing. That's all I got, guys. See you later. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down below if you use Kasking or PowerPro, and what size, so we'll all know. Oh, and what you use it for. See you guys later.
Oh, he's staying down. He's not running well.
There he goes.
If you want to, I'll get you flowers waiting around the bend. Baby, let's just pretend. I wanna stay like this forever. I wanna stay right here with you. Wanna stay right here with you. As the rest we fall until it all breaks down. But I need it so I will stay around when you're all messed up. It's a great